It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Hawaii Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
And we welcome you inside the KCCR studios as we welcome you into your final Coach's Corner of 2023, as we will talk with Steve Steele, the head coach of the Hawaii Capitals, Jim Wadeen, the head coach of the Hawaii Lady Capitals, Sean Lewis of the Pierre Boys Wrestling Team, and Brianna Kusler, the Pierre Boys Basketball Team. That's on the show for tonight in our final edition of 2023. And Coach Steve Steele is on the way next. You're listening to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
This fall, take some time to think about your future while the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill. It's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
Let me talk to you.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com, joining me is Coach Steve Steele. The Hawaii Capitals coaching went 1-2 this weekend against the three games at home. What's the big takeaway from those three contests going 1-2?
Yeah, I think we played really well this weekend as a whole. I think we had a lot of really good things happen. We've got to make sure that we can refocus when a bad thing happens or when a bounce doesn't go our way. So, I think that there's plenty of positives to take away. But ultimately we've just got to find a way to not have a lapse at L.
And the big thing, too, you mentioned, too, the breaks, that it felt like on Friday and Saturday, just nothing was going to go your guys' way. Everything went against you in every possible break. It wasn't even that things went well or things didn't go well for you guys. It's just the break itself didn't go your way. And to come back and get the 8 goals on Sunday, hopefully, you probably would say, too, hopefully it's something that can continue to drive this team going into next weekend.
Yeah, and that was a big push for us on Sunday, was just to go out, have fun, and try and play loose. We felt Saturday we played really tight, especially as the game wore on and we got behind a goal or two. It was tough for the guys to just not press. So I think that was our big push on Sunday, and it really helped. I think the guys responded well. There was some bad luck in Sunday's game too, and they did a great job of just persevering through it and finding a way to just stay positive.
Now going into this weekend, you get a chance to go right back after a team that beat you guys on Friday. Sioux Falls East is the first team, which will be late Saturday night, now on the road for both these games. But how nice is it to maybe go after a team that you felt like you played well enough to potentially get that win on Friday night to then go right back at them again this weekend?
Yeah, it'll be nice, and I think it's so fresh in everybody's memories that, we definitely understand you don't have to go back and re-scout a team because, they haven't changed in the one game that they've played. They will have played since. and we haven't really changed in the two games. But I think we'll have changed more. Dylan Dodson wasn't able to play that game, so adding him back into the mix will, I think, definitely help us in this game. But at the same point in time, it's going to just come down to riding the waves and continuing to stay positive, because it's going to be a hard fought game, and just like it was the first time, and we just got to find a way to force those bounces to go our way.
In a year like this for you guys, where the depth it can be is such a huge factor, you really haven't had from game to game the same line so far. Is that also, obviously, like to keep Dylan Dodson in the lineup? He was a reason why the things started to change a little bit with his suspension. But how nice is it to maybe even be able to change lines up almost at will and still feel like everybody's going to be in a pretty good spot?
It's a nice luxury to have this year, and it's tough because there's that fine line between you want to foster that camaraderie and let the guys play together and get chemistry, while at the same time adjusting them to maybe fit an opponent a little bit better, or to do some different things. And like I said, this last week we kind of didn't have a choice but to do some of this. This week I'd expect us to be a little bit more consistent with our lines. Again, last weekend we tried some different things because, again, we didn't have everybody, so it was a perfect opportunity to try some different things too. So I think we learned a good amount in those games, and like I said, hopefully we can find a little bit more consistency going forward.
Well, now you get Brandon Valley then on Sunday after the Saturday night game, and then that in itself, the game itself against Brandon Valley. First, what do you expect from them, who they've struggled to score and struggled to win, have not won a game yet going into this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with them is they've got a streaky goalie. I mean, he can play incredible. And then, I think it's very similar to the goalie they had last year, just in the sense that he's capable of really keeping them in games. But if you can get up on him early, then, I think that the confidence wanes a little bit. So, that's going to be a huge focal point in that game is just to get up early and not let that be a game long.
And then you're also at the Denny Sanford Premier Center, the first time since the 2021 state tournament that you guys will play there. And for all these guys, I think almost all of them did not play in that game, in that third place game back in the state tournament. So this is the first chance and maybe the only chance that they get to play in that. But from the coaching standpoint and what the kids said the first time that you guys played there, that playing there can be a difficult challenge, and not so much the ice itself, but the surrounding area of the Denny Sanford Premier Center.
Yeah, especially for goalies, and that's something we talked to them both about already, getting prepared for it. Is just that, hey, that there's a lot of black seats, like as much as we want, it's not going to sell out. So, there's going to be a lot of black seats, and when the puck goes above the boards, it's going to be very hard to track at times. So, really extra focus is needed from the goalie's position, and especially even the defenders. It's just so much easier to lose the puck than it is in a normal stadium.
Well, and then also the fact that you mentioned too is you're not going to sell out the Premier Center, and it's a big place to play. So the fact that there's going to be, regardless of the crowd, it could be as packed house at the Expo Center, but it's going to feel pretty empty at the Premier Center. That also then leads to it's a little bit harder to get amped up for the game. What's the difficulty of that with it? No matter how big the crowd is, probably going to still be feeling like a small crowd.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that goes hand in hand with it. It's also a pretty neat deal to go and play in a facility like that. These kids have all grown up going to games there, going to Stampede games, and I know a few have caught a couple Augie games there this year already. So it's still going to be kind of a neat thing just to play in that venue, but at the same point, the environment and the atmosphere, it's going to be more of a mystique than it is going to be a high energy and everything game, because like you said, there's no matter how much energy the crowd brings, it's probably not going to be 10,000 strong.
But I guess then everybody too is also pretty excited, and all those guys are still excited to go play at the Premier Center.
Yeah, and that's the cool part about being able to do this is it's still an experience. It's still getting to go and play in that large venue and kind of feel like you're playing for the Stampede, for a little bit. So it'll be a neat experience still, but like I said, it doesn't come without its challenges.
And it's probably also good when you look at how the schedule goes that it's not going to be something that these guys are going to overlook on Saturday because they're excited to play on Sunday at the Premier Center, because Saturday is on paper the bigger challenge of the two games.
Yeah, and it's just a huge game. There's so much parity that we feel like, at least from really that 2-3 all the way on down, that it's a game that if we want to finish high in the standings, this is one that we need to go in there and win. So it's definitely going to be a weekend, and especially a game Saturday that everyone's going to have their full focus on it and not worrying about Sunday.
Again, talking with Coach Steve Steele here of the Hawaii Capitals. They play Saturday night, 9:15 puck drop against the Sioux Falls East Flyers, but at Sioux Falls, and then on Sunday it'll be against Brandon Valley at 3:30 puck drop, and that'll be at the Premier Center. Both games will be on Capital City Rock and on YouTube at Capital City Rock Sports. Switch gears again. Let's talk a little bit about the bowl games that are coming up. Obviously, Michigan going to be in the semifinal. We talked about a little bit about it last week, but because it's the last one of 2023, we won't talk again until after that semifinal is done. What do you expect from your team, Michigan Wolverines, and how they can beat Alabama?
I think I've got a lot of confidence that they're going to get it done. I really do. I think their defense is just really, really good. I think their defense is top notch. I think their O-line and their backs and everything are good enough to move the ball. And again, if you can get to a game where you don't have to score 30 and 40 to win, then that makes it a lot more likely that you're going to do so. So, I think that it's probably a lower-ish scoring game. Neither team gets to 30, and if they do, hopefully it's Michigan. But I think it's definitely a year that they could get it done.
And then on the other side of it, if Michigan does win, obviously, as a fan, is there a preference of who you want Michigan to play in the national championship?
I think the hard part of that is, I think I'd really like them to play Washington, not because I think they have a better chance to win, but again, just kind of getting to know that staff, through Lincoln's recruitment and stuff. It's a great staff, and that would be if there's a team Michigan had to lose to, then I'd hope it'd be them. And then obviously if they won, they won. So that could kind of be a win-win. Where if it's Texas, then there's no way I would want them to lose to Texas because I'm not a fan.
Well, fair enough. Also, let's go to the NFL. Detroit Lions didn't get the win against the Bears, and coming up here in a couple weeks, they take on the Cowboys. But it's a tough stretch to finish out the season, and one still in their grasp to win the North because they're taking on the Vikings, who they lead by 2 games and play them twice. But that also means that if they do get beat by the Vikings twice, that things all of a sudden turn things around a little bit crazier. What's your feeling of the Lions going into the last 3 games?
They're definitely, that was a tough one. There's no other way to put it this weekend. But, realistically speaking, I mean, there's no way they shouldn't win the division. They win one of the 2 Vikings games, they win the division. Their magic number's 2 or 3. I think it's 3, but either way, I think they should very easily win the division if they can split. And especially, I mean, I don't even know how to describe the Vikings game from this last weekend. So 3 hours of wasted time, I guess. I just think that really the North, I mean, there's not really a team playing awesome right now. I mean, the Lions have had their struggles the last few weeks. The Vikings are playing merry-go-round with quarterbacks, and the Packers are the Packers right now. So the best team playing right now is probably the Bears, and they're so far gone it's irrelevant. So, I still feel like it's a good situation for them to be in. And, the one kind of interesting point, and I don't necessarily think it's going to happen this year, but with Hendon Hooker now practicing and being involved, if Goff continues to struggle, you never know what you might see.
My fantasy football team would enjoy having Hendon Hooker start playing here, the Dynasty League that I'm in. Granted, too, the 4 seed's not going to be as long as the Lions win the division, they're not going to be the 4 seed, and that could be, then you would play either the Eagles or the Cowboys in the first round, which you probably want to avoid a team that's might be winning 13 games in the first round. So, but it's still, and then of course coming up, and then I think next week or the week after playing the Cowboys, it's a good stretch for probably the Lions to play going into the playoffs.
Yeah, it is, just because one, they're meaningful games, obviously, with needing to clinch, and then obviously at the other point, they could realistically play the Vikings in the first round, which would be playing them 3 out of 5 weeks or 3 out of 4 weeks in a row. And then the Cowboys is the one that they could then play in the second round. Nope, never mind. They could still play them, I guess, depending, because they could still win their Division 2 and be the 2 seed.
Yeah.
So technically they could play them. That could be They play the Cowboys in 16 and the Vikings in 15 and 17, so they could be essentially playing the same two teams for 5 straight weeks.
Would be a little wild.
That would be, I mean, that'd be a next-gen stat to check on, but I think that I can't imagine that's been done before.
It'd be pretty hard to find anybody, because you usually don't even play somebody twice after playing them in week 17 or week 18. Usually you don't end up playing them again. So, but let's go all the way back here, circle back here as we start to run out of time. The Capitals taking on Sioux Falls East on Saturday, and then Brandon Valley on Sunday. What's going to be the biggest reason for the Capitals to get 2 wins and pick up 4 points?
I just think that we've got to play loose. We've got to continue to play loose. We've got to continue to have fun. The guys have done a great job of understanding where they need to be on the ice and performing. We just got to not press when things don't go our way and stay positive.
And Seth makes his first appearance on Coach's Corner as well, and maybe at some point in Seth's career, maybe he'll be talking to Coach's Corner.
Yeah, you never know. He's definitely a go-getter, so we'll see how he's going to do someday.
Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you in the pregame shows coming up this weekend. But for Coach's Corner, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll talk to you in 2024.
Likewise. Thanks, John.
Back with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff, ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Helping people. Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do. Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Jim Wadine of the Owyhee Capital girls hockey team, as they are 4-0-1 to start the season, and they will be at home again this coming weekend. And Coach, it's good talking to you again, and it's been a fun first 5 games. I would say the only blemish record-wise is not even really a blemish. It's a tie. So you've got 9 of 10 points to start the year, and that's going to be... it's going to be really good, but at the same time, it's also maybe not so surprising to you, because this is a team that you felt going in the season is capable of being at 4-0-1.
Yes, yeah. You know, this group of girls that we have right now, they're just they're an exceptional group. They work hard at every practice and they work hard at every game, and they've got a lot of talent to back up the hard work. So we're really in a good position right now.
And you just had your home opener on Saturday, so the first 4 games were on the road, picking up 3 wins, that 1 tie as well against the Mitchell Marlins, and then coming in on Saturday against Brookings and winning 6-3. That was a fun hockey game. As a fan of hockey, that was a fun hockey game. But it has to be really satisfying for the Capitals in this third period, being 3-3, getting those last 3 goals. What was so exceptional about what the girls did in that third period?
Well, they never quit. They never stopped. At one point, we were down 1 goal, and the girls kept their head. They just kept working hard and believed that they could do it. And in the end, they came out on top, and they really worked hard that last period.
And that's also on the other side of it, too, is Brookings, obviously, the Brookings Hockey Association has always been historically good, and sometimes there is that little extra mental side of getting over the hump of trying to, knowing that you can beat every team, but not being worried about the team that you're facing just because of who they are, and that's another good sign of what this team has been able to do, because it has been probably a while since the girls varsity team has been able to knock off Brookings.
Yeah, there was a huge psychological barrier there for the girls. I think we figured it out. I think it's been 13 years since our girls varsity program has beaten Brookings. And Brookings, they consistently put together good teams year after year. So for the girls to believe in themselves, believe that they could do it, that was a huge advantage for us, and I think that'll carry through for this following weekend as well. And it also helped having a great crowd at the game this past weekend against Brookings. We had a lot of spectators there, which made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys were able to, you came on the radio here on Friday to urge people to come out and watch this girls varsity team, but went to the schools, and that's another thing for hockey itself is getting everybody involved, and that's kind of what you guys have been wanting to do over the last couple of years too, is get a lot more, and girls involved, yes, and just everybody involved in hockey, and continue to try and grow this sport here, especially in the Pierre and Fort Pierre area.
That's right. Yeah, this is such a fun game, and it's such a fast game to watch and to be part of it, and I think that makes it fun and entertaining for anybody that's willing to come out and watch us.
Again, talking with Coach Jim Wadeen here of the Hawaii Capitals. They will host Aberdeen and Watertown on Saturday and Sunday. Aberdeen's another team. We just talked about Brookings and trying to get over the aspect of trying to face a Brookings team. Now it's Aberdeen coming up on Saturday, and they just lost to Mitchell on last week Saturday. You guys tied Mitchell on the road, so by that transitive property that nobody wants to use in math anymore, that this Capital team is right there with Aberdeen, and on paper this is a really good matchup and an opportunity to get a win, and that's going to be another exciting spot here, is because if you go out and get a win against Aberdeen, all of a sudden you're looking at the rest of the standings and saying, hey, we're just as good to be a top 2 team as anybody in this state.
Yeah, that's right. And Aberdeen's another one that consistently puts together really strong girls hockey teams that they've got several state titles, and they typically place in that top 3 every year. So for us to come out and play strong and compete against them and hopefully beat them this weekend, I think that'll give us a huge push going into the second half of the season.
And then the challenge on the Sunday game is you beat Watertown earlier this season, and now that you beat them handily, and now that it was that you sneaked was able to sneak out a win, you guys were able to get the win. But then now it's starting to talk about you beat Sioux Center on Sunday after beating them on that Saturday. It's another team to finish off a season sweep and to put that separation between the top and the bottom of the standings.
Yeah, we're going to have to make sure that we, no matter what happens against Aberdeen, that we come out and we're ready to play again against Watertown, because we just can't go into it expecting the win, expecting anybody to give us anything, and I think our girls understand that.
Well, and then after this weekend, you guys are off for 12 days before you travel to Rapid City to take on the Rushmore Thunder on December 29th on that Friday, and then get into the first of the year. This, when you look at the boys' side of things, they have 12 teams, so you get 22 games. You guys have just 8 teams this year in the league, so you only have 14 games, which then spreads out the season a little bit more. You end at the middle of February, right around the Super Bowl weekend, but you have a little bit more more games spread out. Is that a benefit for this Capital team, or with how deep you guys are, is it kind of, boy, we'd really love to play 2 to 3 to 4 extra games this season?
I would really like to have the extra games. So when we look at these 2 weeks where we really don't have much going on, that will give us an opportunity to kind of focus on some practice planning that maybe benefit us going into the second half of the season. So,
yeah, I was going to say, having those 2 weeks and because it's Christmas and there's things that are always evolving and changing and people out of town and families out of town, how do you handle, because again, we won't talk to you until after the first of the year with Coach's Corner especially, how do you handle this coming up, this little break that you guys have?
This is, from a coaching standpoint, I think this is always the most difficult time of the year when, we've got the holidays, we've got, everybody starts to think about Christmas. And like you said, the families that are coming into town, their daily routines are disrupted where they're not going to school or they're starting to think back to going back to school. And then with New Year's and all that comes with that, this is definitely a challenging time of the season for everybody, for all the coaches. So I guess our approach has always been where we try to change up the practices a little bit and try to keep them a little more fun, a little more active, and hopefully we can keep the girls engaged through this kind of this doldrum period, and then kind of get back into things once we're past the first of the year.
Well, real quick, we're starting to run out of time here, so mention a couple of players here. Obviously, when you're going into the season, Briley Kafka had the most goals for you last year. She has started out on fire with 13 goals, and not to take anything away from her, we can talk about her as well in this as well, but you got 2 goals from Emily Nemec, 2 goals from Micah Buffalo, 3 from Katie Reese, who had 2 on that in the Saturday win, 2 from Brenda Ullman, and that is... the signs of a deep team and signs that, especially in girls hockey, that when you can get multiple girls scoring multiple goals, that lends to be more dangerous as a team. And someone for like Briley Kafka, who is a goal scorer, she becomes more dangerous because it's not just keying on her. There's so many girls on this team that can go out and score goals.
That's for sure, John. We've got so many girls that have been improving, steadily through the year, and I think when we visit again here in a couple weeks, I think we'll be able to look down the scoreboard and see that we've got even more girls involved in scoring goals, and hopefully even more girls involved with getting assists on those goals.
Then also your goalie, Sophia Pashong, 4-0-1 so far, a sub-3 goals against average, and almost an .875 save percentage. She has been very strong, and that's another aspect of it too, when she was coming back with some time from last year, that she has not just picked up where she left off, but she has very much improved a lot from where she picked up from last year.
Yeah, the wonderful thing about Sophia this year is that her confidence, in what she can do, has finally caught up with her physical abilities on the ice. Last year she had the skills and she had all the talent needed, but I think that she didn't quite feel that she was ready for that spot. And now this year she's really stepped into it. She feels confident in the net, and she's just doing a fantastic job. And we're really, really fortunate to have such a great goalie backing us up this year.
Well, the Hawaii Lady Capitals will be playing Saturday, Sunday at home, 5 o'clock on Saturday against Aberdeen, 3 o'clock on Sunday against Watertown, as they look to continue to be unbeaten right now, 4-0-1 of the season, that one being a tie with the Mitchell Marlins to begin the year. They're on a 4-game winning streak. And, Coach, last question here before we let you go. What's going to be the biggest reason here for the Caps to pick up 2 wins and to get to that Christmas break on a high note?
Well, for our games against Aberdeen, they've got really strong defenders, and so we're going to have to figure out a way to really move that puck around in our offensive zone and get shots on the net and follow up with the rebounds. So I think if we can do that, I think we'll come out with 2 victories this weekend.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Good talking to you. Have fun. Good luck this weekend. And also for the fact of Coach's Corner, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll talk to you again in 2024.
All right, John. Thank you very much.
That is head coach Jim Wadeen of the Hawaii Capitals. We'll return with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Why am I so sore? There are everyday moments.
Hey, hold the ladder! Hold the ladder!
Oh.
Yeah,
that hurt.
And there are epic moments.
College! Class of 1995!
When a moment creates a health need, visit the experts at Avera Orthopedics. We're moving health forward so you can tell the story. Learn more at avera.org/orthopedics.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pierre-Fort Pierre area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power. It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Pierre area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner three.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director John Winkler.
As we welcome back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Brandon Kusler. And Coach, you've gone through two games. You get Sturgis and Spearfish coming up this weekend. But through your first two games at 1-1, what's the biggest takeaway from those two games?
I think the biggest takeaway for us was the fight that we saw in both of the games. Scoring the ball wasn't the easiest thing for us either night, but we found ways to win the game on Saturday and created better looks for ourselves. And I just felt like we grew up quite a bit this last weekend as well, and I mean that in the best way possible. They're mature kids, but we needed we don't have the experience on the court that we have had in the past, and they had to kind of grow up pretty quick, and they did so. They responded really well to some adversity that we saw on Friday night come Saturday afternoon. So that to me was the biggest takeaway for us was it doesn't matter the opponent. We're gonna find ways to battle, and we've got kids that are ready to do that.
And a close loss on Friday night, and then get that win on Saturday. And then obviously as a coach, the kind of the biggest takeaway of what needs to continue to improve, what needs to get better for the Governors going into this weekend.
Overall, I felt like our rebounding was pretty solid, but you're never satisfied with it, regardless of the outcome. I mean, we always want to have more, and there's the occasional missed box out that results in an offensive rebound. And while you know that it's never going to be perfect, you strive for that. But then defensively, I mean, I felt like both nights we showed really solid defense, but there's still plenty of areas to improve upon defensively. Being able to, I mean, when you hold teams to 43 and 44 points, you like your chances of winning some games. But at the end of the day, there's still our help side defense wasn't the greatest, and just our rotations defensively. Communication is always going to be an emphasis for us, and I didn't feel like we were all moving as one out there. We talk about 5 people as one playing on the defensive end and on the offensive end, and that's going to come. It will. They're just, after our loss on Friday in the locker room, I kind of posed the question of how long have you guys been playing together, and kind of a realization, the light bulb kind of went off, like, gosh, we've only all been playing together for about 2 weeks, and you don't snap your fingers and things just happen. But I think the controllable elements of the game, our effort and just the intensity that we have to bring defensively and offensively was there. And as a coach, that's what you can ask for the first outings.
Well, and now you get a chance to take on Sturgis Spearfish at home. We'll talk about the going back-to-back, but what do you can expect from these two teams kind of coming in, and how nice is it to get the home opener here this weekend?
It's going to be great being back in our gym. There's just that comfort level. It's where we've been practicing. It's you don't have to get on a bus and have all of those, just the distractions that are involved in an away trip. But, I think for both teams, you're going to see pretty guard-dominant teams that will match up with pretty well. I felt like probably more so on Saturday we had a better matchup than we did maybe on Friday night, but both Sturgis and Spearfish will be pretty guard dominant, and we're pretty guard heavy as well, and even though I feel like we're pretty average across the board as far as our size is concerned, it's definitely leaning more toward our guards and our height. We can play bigger than we are, but we'll definitely see them. They're going to look to get out in transition, try and push the tempo on us, and create more offensive opportunities for themselves. And we're going to really have to lock down on the defensive side of things and continue just to play our principal basketball and solid rebounding, solid defense, and then creating opportunities because of how hard we're playing.
Well, and now we'll look at this. Obviously, every year that you've been the coach, and pretty much every year since I can remember 2 of the last 5 years, that you play back-to-back days on the first weekend, then you play back-to-back days the next weekend. It's got to be nice to be able to do that early in the season. To whatever happens on Friday, you turn around and not throw it out the window, but forget about it and get ready for the next day on Saturday. It's got to be kind of nice, because when you get to the state tournament, you got to play 3 games in a row. You're not so worried about matchups because you're still worried about yourself. How nice is it to play back-to-back Friday, Saturday last week, and then play another back-to-back again this week?
I think there's a lot of beauty involved in it, because you can have a pessimistic attitude, but that's not going to change anything. So, to me, it's a great opportunity for us to you win and you learn, and even when we're winning, we're learning as well. But more times than not, when especially those first weekends, you're not playing a perfect game by any means. So there's plenty to learn. Whether you win or lose on that first night, and then you have an opportunity to respond and fine-tune some of those things right away. You don't have to go back to practice and be working on them. And I think so from a coach's standpoint, I think it's a great thing, and from an athlete's standpoint, there wouldn't be anything better than playing back-to-back games. I think that's what everybody wants to do, right? You want to be playing, and so you have that opportunity, and especially in front of the fans that we get and the community support that we have. We really look forward to having those back-to-back games, especially at home.
Again, talking with Coach Brandon Kusler here of the Pierre boys basketball team. They take on Sturgis Friday night at 7 o'clock, and then Spearfish at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Both games will be on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. 1-1 to start the year, and how do you like how these young guys, even the old guys, are still kind of young guys when it comes to experience? How do you like what these young guys are able to do to move forward in this season? And 2 games in, hopefully maybe feeling like seasoned veterans now, but what would you like about those 2 games with those young guys?
I think it's you can't really expedite the experience element of the game, and like I said earlier, just the growing up that we had to do pretty quickly. I thought I saw a really good response from all of them, and their engagement and commitment to just bettering the things that maybe didn't go as well. You saw Cade Kaiser shot the ball pretty well on Friday night, and then had a point on Saturday, and he was down on himself for that. But what doesn't show in the box score is who he was guarding the entire game. We tasked him with defending their top guy at Rapid City Central, and he didn't score when Cade was guarding him, and that was something, we've got guys who are capable of doing that, and Cooper Terwilliger coming in as a freshman here, when you watch him play, he certainly doesn't look like a freshman out there. He's a little bit of a goofball, and we love that for about him. And there's definitely some moments where you're like, yeah, he's still a freshman and stuff. But he was patting his stats on Saturday, and I know he was pretty frustrated with himself that he didn't finish as well as he would have liked. And he holds himself to a high standard. All of these kids do. But But, there were still smiles coming on after he had the one possession where he had three offensive boards and 2 points. And, shooting percentage maybe wasn't the greatest, but 7 offensive boards, we'll take that any day. So, but again, you had Dawson Getz, who saw limited varsity time last year, really came into his own on Saturday, and he shot it really well. And he's going to be teams are going to have to prioritize him defensively, just with how hard and how much he can extend them defensively. And I think Luke Olson even on Saturday just seemed a lot more comfortable than what he played on Friday night. So the going from Friday to Saturday for us was a night and day difference, really. Not just because we played in the evening versus the afternoon, but no pun intended. Okay, anyway, but it's just we love the kids that are in our gym right now that want to battle for one another, with one another, and at the end of the day, we all have a common goal, and it doesn't matter whether you score 20 points in the game or you don't score at all. They all have a vital role, and they know that, and that role might change game to game, but what's important is that our mindset, our controllables stay the same.
And going in here this weekend, as we start to wrap things up here, what's going to be one of the biggest reasons for the Governors to get 2 wins and go 3-1 getting into next week against Watertown?
We've been really emphasizing execution offensively and beginning to read defenses. Our defense and our rebounding are obviously something that is big for us any night out, regardless of the opponent. But I think execution offensively and then getting off to a good start for us is going to be something that's really important. Especially here, home crowd, we don't want to. We've kind of been struggling to get off to a good start. It's been under 10 points in the first quarter a lot of times, and we were holding teams too. But we offensively, we want to make sure that we're getting a jump early, getting that momentum that we can have in our gym, and then keeping the pedal to the metal and going the rest of the game.
Well, Coach, as always, I appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you Friday in the pregame show, and thanks for doing this again.
Yep, thank you.
Back with more of the Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention, it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Sean Lewis. Pure Boys wrestling team got the win last night, and we'll take on Harrisburg on Thursday. But 2-0 in duels, looking to go to 3-0, but 2-0 in duels so far this season. What's the biggest takeaway of last Thursday's win, and then now this past Tuesday, yesterday's win over Aberdeen Central?
Improvement. That was kind of the biggest thing. I mean, we went in there last Thursday, and I mean, granted, we didn't have our full squad. We didn't travel everybody with a quick turnaround, rapid invite, and then guys not being able to fit in their weight classes through our weight descent plans. We left some kids home, and we battled with who we had, and so we were kind of flat, missing some of those guys in some key weight classes, and but we ultimately still got the dual victory. But last night against a very, very good Aberdeen Central team, our guys were ready to go, and we saw improvement. We saw guys chasing bonus points. I think of our wins, we only had one match not get bonus points. And, ultimately, as we challenged them on a short turnaround on Monday, that I mean, that was ultimately going to be the big thing in the duel is, okay, we could go 7-7, we could go 8-6, but if we, can win the bonus point battle, we're going to be right there in the mix. And when you have every match but one earn those bonus points, you know that they took the message to heart and they ultimately just got it done.
And how key is that, not even for the dual standpoint, but just going forward, guys that can get pins, guys that can get major decisions, how much confidence that can bring, whether you face Aberdeen Central in a tournament or just in general moving forward, how much confidence that can bring?
Yeah, anytime you're in a duel, it's huge confidence that you can go get those. In fact, I mean, the majority of the kids in our lineup, they listen to the game plan. I mean, when we were telling them very early on in matches to, cut the kid to go, get a 4-1 first period rather than a 2-0 first period and start to build that lead, whether it be a 1 point here or 2 points there. They did it. They went after it. They knew it was their job. Like I said, they listened to their corner. We made in-match adjustments against, kids last night. And so, confidence moving forward that they can go ahead and push for those. Absolutely. Confidence in your gas tank that we saw, other wrestlers break where we still had a lot more to go. Absolutely as well. And just, confidence in what we're doing. I mean, it's a long season and a grind, and there are a couple rounds during the Rapid Invite. I was kind of questioning what we were doing a little bit as a coach, trying to hit some self-reflection, but to see it then put into action in a duel where you get all your kids wrestling on the same night back-to-back was definitely reassurance that we are doing the right things and making the right steps. And, this team slowly but surely going in the right direction.
Well, you mentioned gas tank too. I know you said that not everybody went to Brookings on Thursday, but it was a quick turnaround. You went across the eastern side of the state, got back probably after midnight, got back on the bus at 7:30 to go to Rapid City, the other side of the state, Friday and Saturday compete. And regardless that you had Sunday, Monday before the duel on Tuesday, that's not a lot of time to fully recover from 3 days of doing what you guys did. And to be able to do something like that on a Tuesday night shows, especially early on, how much the gas tank can be for these guys.
Yeah, and you go from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, wrestling 3 days in a row, and then you get a 2-pound allowance. So then you turn around on Tuesday and you got to make scratch weight. So as far as rest and relaxation, there really wasn't any. I mean, it was pretty much mandatory. Everybody had to get a solo workout in on Sunday to be able to get their weight under control. And then our Monday practice, we actually had to practice at Buchanan, which the mats were all torn apart still from the middle school tournament that we had last Tuesday. So we had to put mats together. Then we had to kick kids out because our football players had to go to the school board meeting at 5:30 to be recognized for their state championship as well. So, I mean, it wasn't a fantastic situation with practice and turnaround and everything, but, the kids just showed their kits. They're resilient. They don't really know any better. They just do what they're told. And, we still had a really good and productive practice. We just had to abbreviate things and, really just get to the point. We had to cut out the other things that we wanted to do. After the weekend, we had some technical development things that really are on our checklist to get to, but we just didn't have time to get to them. So we had to talk about matches and scenario and ultimately get these guys ready to make weight and get them ready to wrestle.
So what you're saying is it shall be a breeze moving forward now, because that might be the most difficult weekend of the entire year, right?
I tell you what, this week looking at about a 7-day stretch where you're wrestling 1, 2, 3, 5 days, out of a 7-day stretch. That's a tough stretch. If you can get through this, you can get through a bunch more. Now, unfortunately, we got another one in our schedule where we end up going to Yankton twice in a week, which is not a fantastic bit of the schedule either. But, our kids are definitely going to be battle tested by the time we get to the end of the year. I mean, they're going to have the road miles put in. They're going to know how to handle, the situation of short turnarounds and multiple day weigh-ins. And, especially for our young guys who are freshmen and really have never had to make weight, one day out of the year, let alone multiple days in a week. I mean, it's a learning experience, and I think they're all growing from it.
Well, and then you go from after tomorrow to not doing, obviously you'll still practice throughout the Christmas break and everything else besides the moratorium, but you go from there to then not having a tournament or duel until after the first of the year. So how difficult can that be, going from wrestling five times in 7 days or 8 days, whatever it is, to then having about 3 weeks before your next competition?
Well, we're first and foremost going to take Friday off. We're going to get some rest in and just kind of let these guys, just decompress for a little bit, get away, step back. next week as well, they've got semester tests. So, I mean, our practices are going to be a little bit different. They're going to be a little light. But also it's going to be just filled with technical development. I mean, we're going to play some games, we're going to have some fun, but all those technical things that we've kind of just been put in the back pocket, we need to work on, put in the back pocket. We've got an entire Google Doc full of stuff that, Coach Keys, Coach Cronin, and myself feel that we need to work on. And so that span is really kind of what that is going to be for. It's going to be all these little technical things that we've not gotten a chance to either get to or we've seen that we need to tweak. We're going to be able to get to those. We'll still do our fair share of conditioning. I mean, we'll still, get after it on the mat and get some live matches in the room. I mean, if you look up and down our lineup, sometimes the best matches we can get, in a duel, we can get those matchups in our room, with the quality guys that we have. So, I mean, it'll be no short of competition. We'll challenge the guys in different ways, but we'll also over the break kind of give them time to decompress, because when you do come back from January and you finally get past this little break that we have, it's a pretty good grind for the rest of the year, where it's every Saturday, every Thursday, every Saturday, every Thursday, pretty much until it's over.
Talking with Sean Lewis here, the Pierre Boys wrestling team. They take on Harrisburg tomorrow night, home opener for their duels. And let's talk a little bit about Harrisburg. What do you expect from them going into tomorrow night?
They're going to wrestle hard. They graduated, some pretty good firepower from last year, but they've got some younger guys who are pretty good, and also a couple guys that actually have relatives here in town, so they're going to probably have some family as well. I mean, you got the Stosher kid at 113. He wrestles really hard. O'Connor at 65, he's a good kid. Soren Adlin at 75, another good kid. Tage Privet at 157, he's actually a guy that I graduated with, his son, so I mean, he kind of wrestles a lot like his dad. But, they're pretty balanced. They've got some youth. They've got some experience. Like I said, they lost some few kids from last year, but, they're still a dangerous team that you don't want to overlook.
Well, and again, this is, obviously every duel is important. You got to get wins on every duel to make sure the seed points stay up there. Give yourself the best seed possible going into that dual state tournament. So this is, again, with it being the last of a grind of a week, how important this duel is to not only come out healthy, but also come out with wins.
Yeah, you don't want to go into the break stumbling. I mean, we've kind of had this trend where we had a duel and then tournament and then a duel, and I mean, we can't have a hangover from Aberdeen. I mean, Aberdeen Central is a really good win for us, especially for state seeding criteria, as they're probably not going to lose another duel unless it's to Sturgis. They've got firepower up and down, so I mean, we got to still come out with the same aggression that we had against Harrisburg and get the job done, because we've got wants for the year. We've got goals, which is we want to be ESD champs. Well, that's done solely through duels. So, we got a big hurdle with Aberdeen out of the way, but we can't stumble on another one. Like you had mentioned as well, we want to be a top 1 or 2 seed going into the state duel tournament to put yourself in the best position. And, taking care of Harrisburg, who is a team who's been in the state duel tournament for the past, 3 years, is something that we have to do as well, because they're going to probably gain us a bunch of seed points if we can win. But, if we take that loss, that's some seed points that we don't want. That's going to subtract. That'll probably be a pretty big loss, for us for that state seeding criteria.
Real quick, as we start to wrap things up here, last couple questions. This has been a busy week, but how much fun has this week been for you, being the head coach, being able to watch these guys compete Thursday, compete again Friday, Saturday, get the win on Tuesday, hopefully get a win tomorrow night? How much fun is it for you to see all these guys work hard?
It's been a whole lot of fun. One of the reasons why it's a lot of fun is because you get to spend a lot of time with these guys when you're on the bus like that. Whether it's in hotels or whether it's at tournaments, you get to really form that bond, with the team. You get to see guys in corner. They're watching other people's matches. You get to see the younger kids and the older kids interacting. And, I mean, that's a blast, because it's stuff you instill and you talk about it in the room, but you don't really get to see it come into fruition unless you're out on the road together. And I really think that's one thing that's special about wrestling, is we spend so much time on the road, away from our families, that, I mean, it becomes a family away from your family with just as much time as we, get to hang out. And then, we celebrated some successes over the weekend as well. Tristan Spencer, had his 100th win. And so we got to celebrate that at the Rapid Invite. We got to see, Sydney Uhrig celebrate her 100th win as well on the girls' side. So to have kind of those milestones, come about also, puts a real big smile on your face. I was then looking, we've probably got 6 other guys that could pass 100 wins for the year. We've had maybe one guy a year for the last few, and to think that we could have 600 100-win seasons or 100-win careers fall inside of the same year just speaks to the success that these guys and the establishment that they've been, the careers that they've had. You've got to navigate with not only success, but, preventing injuries and getting kids back. And so, it's a conglomeration of a lot of things, but just really cool stuff to see over the past week.
All right, final question. Going into tomorrow night, what's going to be the biggest reason here for the Govs to get a win over Harrisburg?
Since it was kind of the key to last night against Aberdeen, I'm going to say bonus points, Dual could end up 8-6, as far as being close. But, if we're going to give up a bunch of bonus points, that score gets really, really tight. So if we can go out and get a bunch and really extend leads and ultimately score early in matches to be able to get those bonus points, I think that's going to be a deciding factor.
Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Final one here in 2023, so have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you again in 2024.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And it's head coach Sean Lewis of the Pierre Boys Wrestling Team. Return with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
And we welcome you back inside the KCCR studios one more time here as the Coach's Corner for 2023 will come to a close. We'll take a 2-week break. We'll be back in the first Wednesday of January for our next edition of Coach's Corner, so we hope you enjoy the holiday break. And we will also have for you coming up on the second Wednesday, the Wednesday between Christmas and New Year's, we'll have some college football to be played during that time. So it's going to be a fun couple of weeks off. We'll still have plenty of sports. We'll have plenty of college football with a lot of bowl games all the way through, starting this Saturday, all the way through the first of the year, and it'll be all here on KCCR. Well, thanks to our coaches and Steve Steele, Jim Wadine, Brandon Kusler, and Sean Lewis as we wrap up 2023 of Coach's Corner. We hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll be back with Coach's Corner in 2024 on that first Wednesday of January. You've been listening to Coach's Corner here on KCCR. Have a good rest of your Wednesday and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Oahe Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.